Yeah, the gallery settings are above the pictures. I think Shazad just told you. So if you can't see me, if you click so that there's two pictures, you should be able to see both of us. Okay. So we're looking at, oh, now I can't see Jamie anymore.
Yeah, I just turned off my webcam, so to hopefully let everybody see you.
Okay.
How about now? Yeah, okay.
Okay.
But I'm still here, don't worry. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we're looking at the some useful vocabulary for IELTS today. So this is good for the speaking and for the writing. And we're going to look at some specific aspects of vocabulary. So you can see them there. There's various things that you need to know related to vocabulary, but we're going to look at these specific areas today. And we're also going to look at things like spelling and pronunciation, and we're going to look at the ways of building up your vocabulary and of making it more productive. Okay. So let's have a look at some words and think about them. So we're going to look at some specific words here. I want you to tell me what you think they mean, and also, you know, what ideas do you get when you see these words? What does it make you think of? Okay, so the first word we're going to look at is yummy. So if you see the word, yeah, tasty, good, tasty food, that's good, delicious. Okay, so a very positive feeling that you get for that word, yes, okay. Let's have a look at the next word. So the next word is exquisite. Justin Bieber. I don't really know about the Justin Bieber songs, sorry. Yes, okay, excellent. Any a bit more specific than that? They were quite delightful, I quite like that. Sort of perfect, classy. Okay, some good words there. So yeah, very excellent is right, but in a very specific way, quite a delicate way. Okay. Guys, most of you are still on all panelists. Can you change your settings to all panelists and attendees? That means that everybody else can see what you're writing, and then, you know, we can get much better the conversation going here. Okay, that's great, guys. Thank you very much. Okay, so what about the next word? What does that make you think? You see that word? Okay, yes, some kind of problem, some kind of difficulty. Do you think it's a positive word or a negative word? Okay, yeah, so quite interesting. We can see that in a positive way or a negative way. A few people put depends, so I think you're right. It depends on your outlook. Okay, and if we have a look at the last word, so what does that make you think of? Okay, very good, like targets or growth, journey, very nice, yeah, development. So do you see that as a positive or a negative word? Okay, yeah, good. I think, you know, in most cases, we see that as something very positive if you are making progress. Okay, so we've got a range of the words there. We've looked at the meaning, but there's lots of other aspects of vocabulary that you need to know, that you need to think about to really understand a word. So we can think of word formation. So for example, a challenge, what type of word is a challenge? Are we looking at a noun? Yes, okay, very good. So we're looking at a noun. So you need to know the form of the word and the other types of words in that word family. Okay. Then also we can think about things like what we call the register. So the register is whether it's a formal word or an informal word. Okay, so if we looked at a word like yummy, would you be able to use that in an essay, in the IELTS essay? Yeah, no, exactly. It's very informal. So great for the speaking, but not really acceptable for the writing. Okay, so that's another aspect that we can think of. And you noticed before I was asking you, do you think challenge is a positive word or a negative word? So this is called connotation, and it means, do you get a negative idea when you see that word, or do you get a positive idea? So progress was really positive, but challenge really seemed to depend on how you thought about it. Okay, so there's lots of different things that you can think about. Another aspect of vocabulary which is very, very important is the words that they go with. So we talked about yummy food. I think most people put, yes, that's words to describe yummy. So what kind of adjective could you put in front of challenge? Yes, that's right, Leah. This is collocation. If we wanted to describe a challenge, okay, yes, we could say that. Okay, yes, a hard, difficult challenge. So there are certain words that we use together in combinations, okay? So that's called collocation, and that's another aspect to look at, okay? So we're going to look now at all of the different things that you really need to know to be able to say, I know this word, I understand this vocabulary. So we're going to look at some pairs of words, and we're going to look at the difference between them, okay? So if we look at the first ones, we've got a word there. So the sound is the same, but what's different? Okay, they are different forms of the word. Yes, that's right. And what else is different there? If you hear the word through, how would you know between, yeah, the meaning is different. We're looking at a sort of specific, yes, the spelling. Okay, very good, galaxy. So if we look at that one, we've got the same sound, but we've got a different spelling. Okay. So yes, that's that one. If we look at the second one, so in this case, the spelling is the same, but yeah, and the form of word is different here. What else is different? Looking for something specific here. Okay, yes, Neo, thank you. Pronunciation, okay? So we have 1 minute, but if we use it as an adjective, then we have minute. So the stress is different and the pronunciation is different. So that's another thing. Okay, what about the third one? So we're looking at the same vocabulary here, but what's different between the two columns? Okay, very good, Tien. Yeah, and rest. The word formation here is different. So in number 1, we have an adjective and a noun. In number 2, we have a verb and an adverb. Okay. Okay, what about in the next one? Okay, the gender is different. So what are we looking at here? Okay, Michaela, you're kind of right. It's the wrong use, wrong collocation, Saswati. Excellent, very good. So if we use the word handsome, we're going to be talking about a man. That's a word that you use to describe a man. It's not really a word that you would use to describe a woman. Okay, so collocation is very important. What about the next one? What are we looking at there? Okay, that's exactly right. Yes, if you were talking about a woman, you would say beautiful, Attila. Okay, yes, Elizabeth. So this is, yeah, the form of the verb. Okay, we have a special word for this, okay, which is polygation. But yes, do you use a gerund? Do you use an infinitive? So what form of the word works in that structure? Okay. So yeah, swimming and then to swim. All right. So if we look at the next pair, so we kind of looked at this one before. So what's different there? Yes, we would say beautiful for a woman, Nargisa, that's right. Okay, not exactly register. Okay, very good. Galaxy again. So this is connotation. So does it have a positive or a negative meaning? That's exactly right, Natalia. So difficult, I don't think anybody would consider difficult to be a positive thing. But challenging, you know, can be, it's usually quite a positive idea behind it. Okay, so that would be connotation. What about the next one? So the meaning is the same. What's different here? Okay. Yes, okay. So it's the, what we call register. Okay. So kids, very informal. Again, wouldn't be acceptable in an essay. You would need to use the word children. So register is very, very important for the IELTS. It's really important you get the right register for your essays. Okay. And then if we look at the last one, so what's the difference here? What do you think is the difference between the first? Okay, very good, guys. Excellent. Yeah, so in the first column, we are looking at an idiom, whereas in the second column, we're looking at, you know, a neutral word, a normal word. So again, idioms, very nice for the speaking, but we don't really want to use them for our essays, for our writing. Okay, so those are all of the things that you need to know to say that you really understand a piece of vocabulary. Yeah, let's roll it, Dilla. Okay, but there's a lot to look at there. So we're just going to look at these things here specifically in this webinar. Okay, so the spelling, pronunciation, etc. Okay. So if we have a look, first of all, at the spelling, so there's certain types of words or certain areas that are often misspelt. To be honest, misspelt by native speakers as well. So a very common one is consonants, when we use double consonants and when we use single consonants. So we're going to try and correct some words here. So if we look at that one there, what would be the correct spelling, or what's the mistake in the spelling of process there? Yes, okay, I think that's, yeah, the double C should be a single C. So single C, double S. Again, this is one of those, you know, is it a single C or is it a double C? Single S, double S, okay? And if we look at the second one, basically the other way around. So yes, in this case, you need the double C, okay? So these types of double consonants can be quite tricky. Things like double M, double P, quite often lead to mistakes. So just be aware of that type of error, okay? Sometimes another issue is when we don't pronounce a vowel, then sometimes, you know, you hear it a certain way, so you then write it a certain way. So if we look at that word, okay, very good, Neo, very good, Michaela, excellent, very good. So it's not, even though it sounds like an E, it's actually an A sound, so it's one E and two A's. And if we look at the next one, okay, very good, guys. Yeah, so you say general, but you need to write with the E-N-E, okay? So again, be careful of those kind of missing syllables. All right. We also have a lot of silent letters in English, a lot of silent letters. So if we have a look at that word, yes, like hour, you're exactly right, Attila. Yes, very good, because you spell better than most native speakers. So that N, we don't really pronounce it, so it's easy to miss it out. And, you know, the other one, which is quite similar to government, we can, there's another one, yes. Okay, very good, guys, very good. Yeah, so, and again, we don't really say it, but we need to have the N there in that environment, okay? So be careful of silent letters. And some words are just often, you know, confused. So they're just kind of common general words that we make mistakes for. So what about this word here? Okay, very good. So because we need the noun, we need to use E, okay? Affect is the verb and effect is the noun, okay? So just make sure you've got that one. Yes, that could be another one. Okay, very, very good. So this again is quite a common mistake that I've seen a lot. So lose only has one O. If you use that, yes, loose is the opposite of tight. Okay, so he might lose his job. Yes, psychological, Osman, that's a very difficult word to spell. It's just PS at the beginning. That's what you've got to remember. Okay. And then there's some sort of generally, very nice, Yatin. Very good, guys. Really good. You're showing off now. Okay. And some other difficult words that you, this one actually is not an English word originally. It's French. So what's missing? Okay, very good. Ali's got it. Elizabeth has got it. Yeah, so we're missing that R, entrepreneur. Quite hard pronunciation as well. And if we look at another one, yes. Sorry about that. So what's missing there? Yes, good. So again, this is a double one, questionnaire. Okay, with a double N. So spelling, very important for the vocabulary for your IELTS writing. So do be very careful and, you know the kinds of words that you find difficult and make sure that you know the correct spelling for those. Okay. So another area that's quite difficult is pronunciation. Okay. So remember, that's not just how the word is pronounced, but it's also where do you put the stress on the word. That can be quite difficult. And some areas that can be quite difficult, we call them consonant groups or consonant clusters. So for example, sort of GHT together, okay? And as I said before, there are lots and lots of silent letters in English, so you have to be very careful about the pronunciation of those, okay? So we're going to have a look at some words that are quite difficult to pronounce. Yes, very good, Italy. You've actually, those are some of the words we're going to look at. So I want you to tell me how many syllables you think this word has, and I'll explain IPA in a moment, and where the stress is, okay? So if we look at that one, yeah, you're right. So with the 3 syllables, so it's comfortable, okay? So that OR sound isn't pronounced. This is one of those silent syllables. Yeah, so 3 ones. So the IPA is the phonetic script. So if you're familiar with the phonetic script, it's very useful for pronunciation, and it also gives you the stress, okay? Or if we look at more simple phonetics, we've got comfortable, okay? Exactly, Attila, International Phonetic System. Okay, what about the second one? Okay, very good. So this has 2 syllables, and what's the silent letter in that one? Okay, very good, guys. So castle. Yeah, completely silent T there. Okay, what about this one? This proves to be quite difficult. Okay, very good. So 3 syllables. Okay, and the pronunciation is chaotic. Okay, chaotic. So it's quite a difficult one. Okay, and what about the next one? Yeah, how many syllables? Okay, very good. 2 syllables. Yeah, and duty. Okay, so difference there between British English pronunciation and American English. But yes, you're right, Sarah. It's an oo sound, so duty. Okay. And then if we look at the next one, so this is the one that you mentioned, Attila, beforehand. Yeah, just 1 syllable there. Yeah, 1 syllable. So the GHT is just pronounced as a T. Okay, so height. Okay, very good. Yes, you are today. Yes. You predicted what was going to come. Okay, very good. So 2 syllables. And what is the silent letter in this one? Okay, very good. So a silent S, island. Okay, so we can see in the phonetic and the simple script that there's no S sound there. Okay, and this one can be a bit, okay, so yeah, only 2 syllables. And how do we pronounce the second syllable? How would you write it? Okay, very good, yes, so thorough. Okay, thorough. So the GH is completely silent, and that OUGH is quite a tricky set of letters in English because there's about 4 or 5 different ways that it can be pronounced depending on the word. Okay. So next one, yes, the first sound can be difficult as well depending on your first language. Okay, right with the 3, yes, okay, and so which sound is not pronounced there? Okay, very good. The second E is silent, so it's vegetable. So it's only 3 syllables, vegetable. Okay, not 4 syllables. And what about the last one? Yeah, it kind of depends. So yeah, vehicle, you can actually, so there's a couple of different ways of pronouncing this. You can say vehicle or vehicle. Okay, but the H is not pronounced. Okay, so the H, exactly, Fatani, the H is silent in that case. Okay, so again, pronunciation and stress, really, really important for the speaking, for the IELTS. A quarter of your mark for the speaking is on your pronunciation and intonation. So very important to get that right. Okay. I guess the most common is vehicle, is 2 syllables, I would say. Yeah. But they're both fine. Okay. So then another very important thing is word formation. So if you've been to some of our other webinars where we've been doing the writing, you would know that, paraphrasing is a very important aspect of the writing. And paraphrasing is not just using synonyms, but it's also using word formation. So changing a word so that, instead of using the noun that's in the task question, you use the verb. Okay, so we're changing the type of word. So those are all the different parts of speech we can use. There's also, we have the negative prefixes in English. So it's very important to know which negative prefix, because there are different ones depending on the word. Okay, so let's see if we can fill in the table. So not quite there. Okay, thank you, Rishna. That's right. So practice with an S. Okay, so practice, C for the noun and S for the verb. Okay, The adjective would be practical. Okay, very good, guys. Very good, Peter. And then if we wanted to make that negative, oh, be careful. Remember, it begins with the P. Okay, very good, Neo, yeah, and Peter. So it's impractical. Okay, remember, for the pronunciation, we can't really have an N and a P together. So a lot of words that begin with a P or a B or an M, the negative prefix is going to be im. So impractical, impossible, those kind of words, okay? So in the second line, we have the adjective, successful. So, okay, very good, guys. So the noun is success. And then what would be the verb? Okay, very good, succeed. Again, be careful with your spelling there. And okay, very good. The negative adjective would be unsuccessful. Okay, very good. Yeah. And then, yes, if you had the adverb, that would be successfully. Okay, so if we talk about to care for somebody, but okay, very good. The noun is also care. Okay, so it doesn't change. The adjective is careful. Okay, or also caring, actually. So another thing is that sometimes there are different adjectives or different nouns that you can make from the same base word. So you need to, know all of those variations. If we were going with careful, then the negative would be, okay, careless, very good. If it was caring, it would be uncaring. Okay, so different negatives depending on which adjective you are looking at. Okay, enjoyable, so the noun would be, we need to go back. Well, joy, yes, goes for the same one, or enjoyment, yeah. And then the verb would be, okay, yes, very good. So enjoy. And if we wanted to make the adjective negative, then yes, okay, unenjoyable. Okay, all right, very good. And yeah, joyless, I guess, if you went with joy. Okay, so if our adjective is useful, then the noun would be, yes, well, you're right, use and usage is also possible. And the verb would be, yeah, okay, again, use. Notice here the pronunciation is different. So the noun is use and the verb is use with a more of a Z sound. So the spelling doesn't change, but the pronunciation does change. Okay. And yes, the negative adjective would be useless. So in this case, the suffix changes instead of having a prefix. And then finally, we have belief. So the verb is to believe. Okay, very good. And the adjective is, okay, yeah, very good, believable. And then, okay, very good, we're already there, unbelievable. Okay. So, again, if you really know a word, then it means that you know all of the different parts of the word family for that word, including any negative prefixes or changes in suffixes. We do also have negative prefixes for some of the nouns. So, like honesty, dishonesty. So those would be things that you would want to know as well. Okay, so word formation, very, very important in terms of the vocabulary. And then we come to collocation. Okay, now to get a band 7 in the writing or the speaking in the vocabulary section, you must show good evidence of collocation. Okay, it's specifically mentioned as being something for band 7. So if you don't show collocation, you cannot get more than a 6 for vocabulary in either your speaking or your writing. So it's really, really crucial for the IELTS. Okay, so we don't ever learn words, or we don't use words in isolation. We use them in phrases. So make sure you know that everything that goes with the word that you're using. Okay, so let's see if we can fill in some missing words here. Okay, so if we have a complaint, what do we use with complaint? Okay, make a complaint. File and lodge are also good collocations as well. We can file a complaint, we can lodge a complaint. You can't leave a complaint, I don't think, but you can definitely make a complaint, or those other ones were quite useful as well. Okay, so how about this one? With a presentation, when I, not really. Okay, very good. Who was that? You've gone very quickly. Saswati, you have it too. Okay, so usually you give a presentation. Okay, so in this case, when I gave a presentation, so that's the collocation that you need to use. Okay, delivered would work as well, Ashwani. That would be fine. You can deliver a presentation as well. Okay, all right, very, very good. Yeah, her company. There's really anything else that works in that. So I just like being with her. Okay, that's the important thing. Okay, so it was a difficult job, but you could say I love her company. Yeah, that would be fine. Yes, so I did my best. You could also say I tried my best. That would work as well. That would be fine. But yes, to do your best is a very common collocation. Okay. What about the next one? So we have an arrangement. Okay, yeah, so we've got going on with make there. So we generally we make an arrangement. So in this case, in the past, so we made an arrangement to meet later. Okay. All right. Can anybody think of any other collocations that if you want to use set, Galaxy, we tend to say set a date for something. Okay, so, or set a time for something. So it is a good word to use, but not with arrangement. Okay, yes, to make sure, make a call. Okay, very good, make a call. Okay, you would say put in an effort, or often make an effort. Okay, make a mistake. Very good. Go on a bus. Very good. Can anyone think of any adjective and noun collocations? Okay, very good, Tuan. Make progress, give somebody a lift, fill in a form. Okay, some very nice ones. Lead by example, attract attention. So, these are the kinds of things where, very important to know the collocation. Okay. Another specific area that we're going to look at with collocation is prepositions. Okay, and again, this is very difficult because there's no logic to it. You really, you need to just know what prepositions to use with all of the different nouns, verbs, and adjectives. Oh, somebody wrote burning desire. Sorry, I can't see your name, but that's a great piece of collocation. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to see if you know. Yes, Itala. I know everybody hates prepositions. When I've studied other languages, I've also hated learning prepositions. But unfortunately, we need to know them. Yes, so an impact on. Okay, so a positive impact on. And again, we have collocation here of a positive impact. And the next one that we're going to look at is so to cause harm. Okay, good, most you got it to. Not everyone's getting it there, but you cause harm to somebody or to their health. Okay. And what about with risk? This came up today. I was doing a speaking test today and this came up. Yes, very good. You're always at risk of something. Okay, so a very important collocation to use. Okay, and then how about associated? Okay, very good, guys. Associated with. Okay. And yeah, I know they're difficult, Mohammed. They are difficult. And what about the last one? Yes, okay, so to address this issue. Okay, so I know they are confusing. I know they're difficult because you can't come up with a rule for it. But you just, as we said, don't learn the word in isolation. Learn the word as a phrase so that you always know it together. So you always think of have an impact on rather than just impact. Okay, we're going to look at that in a minute, Osman. Okay, so that would be collocation. So yeah, how do you improve your vocabulary? So we're going to look at different ways that you can use to enhance your vocabulary and to make sure that you know how to use it. Okay, so the first thing is finding the vocabulary. Where do you find vocabulary? Where do you find collocation? So reading and listening on different subjects, it's very, very important. That's right, Myra. And you need to go to quality newspapers, quality websites, to get the right academic vocabulary, to get the right collocations, and use them as a resource. And make a note of those new collocations or new vocabulary. And as we said, try and remember the whole expression, not just the individual word. Okay, so then you need to record your new vocabulary. So there's various ways of doing this. There are apps that you can use these days, like Quizlet, which will allow you to make sort of like word cards so you can test yourself. Having a notebook is very good to keep your vocabulary in. I wouldn't recommend just writing lists because they're very hard to go back and find things in. But if you do things like spider diagrams, they will be a really, really good way of remembering vocabulary. Okay. And as I said before, don't learn single words because you're never going to use single words. You're always going to use phrases. So learn those collocations, learn those phrases right from the start so that that's how you see the word. You don't see the word in isolation, but you see it in terms of a phrase, okay? And again, as we've said here, just the word is a really good resource. So you type in any word and it gives you all of the collocations for that word. So for example, if it was a noun, the adjectives that go with that noun, the verbs that go with that noun, the prepositions that go with that noun. So it's a really, really good resource. And yes, Anvar, I think you're right. Learning with sentences, writing sentences is a really good way to, improve your vocabulary. Another very good resource is the academic word list. So as it says, this basically has all of the words and their word families, which are common academic words. So for example, benefit, beneficial, to benefit, all of these kinds of words that come up quite often. That's a really good resource. Just type it in to Google and you will find it, okay? At this point, this vocabulary is passive vocabulary. You've written it down, but you've got to use it as well. If you don't use it, if you don't make it active vocabulary, then you won't be able to produce it when it comes to the exam. So make sure that you're producing the vocabulary. As Anvar said, write some sentences with it, Make sure you use it in your speaking. Make sure you use it in your essays, okay? So you must make that vocabulary productive rather than passive, okay? So that would be the ways to find the vocabulary and make use of it, okay? So that is the end of the presentation. So now we can take questions. Thank you very much, guys.
So thank you very much, Annalie, for going through the presentation with us. That was great. And well done, guys, for your suggestions. So I really liked some of the comments about the different apps that you use to review vocabulary. So yeah, if you have any suggestions, someone mentioned Lyrit and Memrise and vocabulary.com. So yeah, that's really good to know about. We can check them out. Let's see, guys, we have a bit of time now to look at your questions. So if you do have any questions, you can add them to the Q&A and we'll have a quick discussion about them in a moment. Just wanted to mention, if you're interested in having your...
Oh, I think we just lost Jamie, sorry. Can you still hear me, guys? You can hear me. Oh.
Yeah.
You're back again, Jamie. You just froze for a moment.
Am I back? My screen froze there. I wasn't sure if you could hear me or not. So,
Jamie's back, yes. Jaime. Now you become Jaime.
Jaime, excellent. Spanish, my Spanish alter ego. Yeah, fantastic.
R.I.P. Jamie. So Osman's written.
Good. Excellent, guys. I was just saying, before we look at the Q&A, guys, I wanted to mention our speaking and writing evaluation service. If you're interested in having your writing evaluated, you can submit it on our website. One of our examiner team will take a look at it, we'll give you an estimated band score, and we can give you some feedback on your performance as well, what you can do to improve your writing. We offer a similar service for speaking as well. You can book some time with a speaking examiner and we can give you very detailed verbal and written feedback on your performance. So if you're interested, you can find the details of that on our website, okay? But for now, I think we can take a look, if my screen doesn't freeze again, at these questions. So let's take a look. Well, yes, my screen has frozen, so I'm not able to see them. Can you see the Q&A just now?
I can see the Q&A, yes.
Yeah,
So,
if you want to select a question, then we can, yeah, that would be great.
So Shazad's asking about links available for the slides of the webinars, Jamie?
Sure. We can't share the slides, I'm afraid, but you can watch the video of the presentation. It will be on our website, IELTSonlinetest.com. So you could, if you sign into the site, you can watch the whole presentation again, and you can review the slides that way. Okay. Right. Yeah. Any other questions there? I've got the Q&A up now, Annalie. Okay. So the first question I can see is from Anonymous, and that is about American and British spelling. Is it okay to use the American spelling, for example, color, just with an O, instead of color, the British spelling, O-U-R? Would you be penalized for using American spelling?
No, not at all. It's perfectly fine to use the American spelling. You don't get penalized in IELTS. Always good to be consistent, but you know, you're not going to have any problem using American spelling.
Okay, excellent. Great. Let's see. Got a question from Michaela about test dates in Shanghai. Michaela, we're not really aware of that kind of information. If you contact the British Council in Shanghai, They will be able to give you more information. I know a lot of the testing has been postponed because of the coronavirus, so it might take a while before they start doing IELTS tests again, okay? But hopefully you can get your test booked soon. Let's see. Oh, question here from Amrita about what do we mean by productive and passive sentences? It's a good question.
Yeah. So if you have a passive understanding of some vocabulary, it means that you understand it when you read it, or you understand it when you hear it. Okay. But there's a difference between that and actually being able to use the word yourself when you speak or when you write. So when we talk about vocabulary being productive or productive skills, that means basically means speaking and writing. So you're able to come up with that word yourself rather than just seeing it or hearing it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And quick question from Wakas. What about American words like soccer or garbage? So not like the spelling, but the actual register of the word. Is it okay to use, American English in the IELTS test?
Well, I mean, again, the register would be what would be important, and garbage is really quite an informal word, so I don't think that would work in the writing. But if the register was formal and it was an American English word, then that would be fine. Okay, but remember that you can't use any informal words at all.
Yeah, that's right. Like rather than garbage, maybe like waste material
Mm-hmm.
would be a more formal way of saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, excellent. Good question here from Somesh. How to work on vocabulary. It's really hard to remember the words and their meaning. Is there any strategies which we can follow? I mean, Somesh, I know how you feel. I'm learning Mandarin Chinese at the moment. And one thing that I found really useful is I have an app called Pleco, which is like shows me flashcards, and it's use spaced repetition. So you say if you get it right or not, and if you say you don't understand it, it will show you it again more frequently. So there's so many good apps now for helping you to memorize vocabulary like that. I would really suggest finding a good one that you like and putting in the words that you want to learn to help you remember. Yep, like Quizlet or Duolingo. A lot of these, can be really effective. But I think, as Annalie was saying, it's not just enough just to be able to recognize a flashcard. You then have to be able to understand it in context by doing lots of reading, and also, to start producing sentences as well with that word. So yeah, you need to take a few different approaches for really to develop your vocab. Okay. Don't know if there's anything you want to add there, Annalie, or just kind of.
No, that's right. Someone just mentioned the picture behind me. Thank you very much. It's actually my grandmother, not my mother. But thank you very much. Yes. Yeah, with the vocabulary, you've got to produce it. I always think it's very useful to write sentences. That's something I myself do when I'm, learning other languages, which, I've had to do a lot during my life living in different places. So, making different sentences, trying different things, trying to use it wherever possible, making a mistake, getting it corrected and learning that way. But you have to just start using it. Yeah.
Definitely. Guys, please don't share your personal email in the chat. It's not very safe. We can't guarantee, that you won't get harassed or anything like that. So better keep it private. If you want to talk to each other, you can join our Facebook group and you can share information there. Okay, if someone could put the link to our Facebook group in the chat, then that would be great. But please don't share your details on the webinar. Okay, thank you. And Thoi, you're asking, you say you missed my lesson earlier in the week. If you want to see the recording, it's on our website. So you can see that on IELTSonlinetest.com. All right. Nice question from Alora. Alora is asking about the order of the exercises on the computer delivered IELTS test. Do you have to do it in a specific order, or like, do you have to do listening first, then reading, or can you choose the order you want to do it?
My belief is that it will be the same order that it always is. You don't have, just because it's the computer-based one, there's no ability to kind of change it or stop it or do anything like that. It runs the same as the paper-based one with the same timing. So yeah, you don't have any choice basically within the computer-based.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The same as in the paper-based. Okay, good. Nat is saying, is there any test center in Vietnam? I'm sure some of you can answer this question. Are there any test centers in Vietnam? I think so, Nat. I'm pretty sure there's one at least in Hanoi and in Ho Chi Minh City. There are likely to be others as well. If you do a Google for British Council testing centres, they should come up. Okay. Let's see. Got a few minutes left, so we will. Min has a question. What is 1 plus 1? Min, are you checking we're not robots, Min?
I am not a robot. Tick.
Yeah, we're IELTS.
Well done, Nat. You got it.
Yeah. We're IELTS teachers, not maths teachers.
Yes.
We're not.
I think I managed that one.
Let's see. Okay. A question here from Anonymous. Are there any words or structures used in some BBC articles that could be used in academic writing?
Yeah, I think if you go to the features, actually, so if you look at news articles, there's a certain kind of language when it's about the news, the current affairs, which is a different kind of language. So I don't think that is always 100% useful. But if you go to the features part, you know, which is on education and health, and science and things like that, they are very, very useful for vocabulary, for collocation, for topic-specific vocabulary as well. There's another website called theconversation.com, which is very, very useful for academic articles and for finding and using collocations and topic precise vocabulary. Yes, that's right, Dwara Kanath, very good website. But any high quality news site is very good, but use the features rather than the current affairs would be my advice. Okay,
excellent. Question from Doyen. I'm not sure if this is a serious question or not, Doyen, but I'm going to read it anyway. In writing a formal letter, can I use the phrase "a pain in my ass"? The reason I'm saying this is because it's a nice example of idiomatic language. It's connected to vocabulary, but it's not formal, Doyen. So no, you shouldn't use it. And probably not formal enough to use in the speaking test either. It's quite, you know,
it's a touch rude.
It's a little bit rude, so better not to say. Yeah. How could we say it more formally?
Yeah, not that, Stephen. Definitely. What can we, well, formally, I was
Yeah,
thinking
more formally.
informally, but less rude.
It's a great inconvenience, maybe.
Yeah, an inconvenience,
Yeah,
a problem, a
yeah,
difficulty, a
yeah.
obstacle. Oh, there, Ali, I like that. A thorn in the flesh, a thorn in my flesh.
Wow. Yeah.
Very nice.
Poetic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Yeah, and hopefully that answers your question as well, Galaxy. The range of vocabulary you can use. Okay, guys, I'm afraid we're going to have to wrap up for today's session. I know we haven't covered all your your questions, so apologies for that. If you would like us to answer a question, you can post it as a comment on our YouTube channel. You can write into our Facebook page as well, or you can join us for another IELTS webinar on Monday. So, you know, you have plenty of opportunity to cover these. Okay, so just want to say very big thank you to Annalie for joining and
Thank you,
presenting today.
Jamie. Thanks very much. Thanks, everybody, guys. Thanks for all your participation. Brilliant. Good luck if you've got your exam coming up, and take care, yeah?
Cool. Thanks very much, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
I say we're leaving, but it might take a little while to shut down the webinar. So bear with us. Okay, here we go.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye
Bye-bye.
again. You saw me. Bye, guys. Take care. Thanks, Linda.